Hello everybody, my name's Vic Gilgis and I'm here to do another podcast to help you with your well-being and of course to help myself with mine. The title of this podcast is episode 49, Freedom. I'm going to talk today about the freedom of not being too tied to our personal identity. In other words, I'm saying that we have a personal awareness, and what we try to do is we think of ourselves naturally and we go about trying to make ourselves happy, that person that we think we are, sometime in the future. So it is a paradigm. And the trouble with that paradigm is that it's very difficult to fulfill, because trying to make out the person that we think we are happy at some future time is fraught with all sorts of things going wrong, because life alters, even ourselves alter, and circumstances. In other words, we're not going to always make ourselves happy. We're going to sometimes become happy. This can upset us greatly, and we can become very unhappy. So the things that we set ourselves up for success, and I'll talk about this in another podcast, is a never-ending search for that. And even if it's fulfilled, we want it to be continued, and that can never happen. And the reason it can't happen is because, again, as I've said in that paradigm, it's a case of mistaken identity, because we are not the self that we think we are. And what can help us get around this, and I suppose it's another paradigm really, but it is a true paradigm, wrong. It is the truth. We all have a presence. We have a presence, an awareness that was there from when we were born. It's different to the person that we think we are, which changes. Our everlasting presence is always there. We were born with it. It's there until we die. And that presence, its awareness, has got, it is free, because it is not tied by the bounds that we have in our world, because it is just there. It witnesses, it knows what to do, it is free, it is untethered, and it is love. And when we go back to that presence, and I give it all those kind of build it up things, because it is the real us. It's there, it is life, and it wants to thrive, and it knows how to thrive. But we don't refer to that, which is always there, our real self. We refer to that paradigm of ourselves as being X, Y, and Z, and expect the world to comply to that, and that is not necessarily going to be the case. So we can easily get upset. So realising our presence is a way out of this, a way out of the fact that we do live in a thought-created reality of the person that we think we are, our interpretation of it, but the reality is, the truth is our presence, which is there, always has been. We cannot see that always. Most of us, because we don't think about it anyway, and this is why I do these type of things, is to make us aware of this. We don't go there to our presence, because our thought doesn't go to that naturally, because our thought is always contaminated by our conditioning, our education, our intellect knowing what the answers are. What really knows what the answers are is life, our presence, which is within us. So our take on things blocks us from seeing what is true and what is always within us. So what we can see when we go to our presence is an unadulterated awareness of presence of life itself. So it's awareness of our awareness, that we are just aware. And it is a different feeling. So when we are thinking about stuff which is going through our conditioned mind, the thoughts about X, Y, and Z, that is a different thing. So we're kind of relating to what's coming to us from outside circumstances. When we relate to our presence, we are is a different feeling because it's there. Our awareness, our presence is seeing and feeling and smelling and touching what is right in front of us, unadulterated by thought, not second hand. That's why it is a different feeling, because it is a feeling of life itself. It's a feeling of freedom. It's a feeling of the authentic you, which is your presence. And authentic is where you do what feels right for you, not what you have thought you should do or are told to do or life tells you to do or others tell you to do. So we're not tied to do stuff that the outside world thinks you should do or conditions you to do. It is doing what you really like to do, coming from your authentic self, which is your presence. So, and of course, when we're up in our head about stuff, we are always relating to either the past, what went right, what went wrong. Yeah, we learn from the past, fair enough. Or we may be worried about what may happen in the future if our future happiness related to who we think we are is threatened. When we are with our presence, we're right in the now. The past doesn't exist, the future doesn't exist. We're in the now. And we have a better future by being better in the now instead of up in our head with worries about the past or worries about the future. So all that stuff, when we're talking about what goes through here, is abstract. It's concepts of what could be, what should be, shoulds, shoulda, coulda, woulda. When we're with our awareness, it is just us knowing what we are, living through our presence, which is life itself. So, examples, I'll give you some examples of this. I once went with my wife to Anglesey and some friends, and I might have mentioned this before. We were looking across a lake, and all of a sudden, without any words or thoughts about it, I just knew it was right. It felt right. It was beautiful for me. Another time was when I was with my wife, sat in a glen in Scotland, and we're just talking, and all of a sudden it just come to me that this was wonderful. It felt wonderful. I was so in love with life. I was so in love with my wife. I was so in love with myself. Everything just felt right. And an example of this with someone else is my friend, John Dixon. When he got married, he related to me afterwards how the wedding afternoon, they'd gone somewhere into a park again, I think. And he said to me, I've never seen such a blue sky. I've never seen such greener grass. I've never felt life to be so richer. I've never felt so wonderful to be with so wonderful a person in front of me. That she was wonderful, I was wonderful, life was wonderful. And that is awareness of life itself and getting life directly and getting the feeling directly. Other examples, because I used to be into mathematics, is, for example, the elegance of a mathematical expression. For example, Clerk Maxwell discovered the existence of radio waves before one was ever sent or received. It just had an elegant mathematical expression that he developed, an algebraic equation, which when I looked at, I just was so elegant. It was so just great. It was just filled with knowing, coming from nowhere, from his expression of awareness, of his true identity. Another example, my love awareness with my father, when my mother was once berating him during an argument, and I kind of saw my dad lower his head, because he was getting called a few choice names by my mother. She was not pleased with him. And in that moment, and I was only a youngster, I'd only be about 7 or 8, I just shouted to my mother, "Leave my dad alone, I love my father." And that came from just pure love. It was just there, and it changed the whole feeling in the room. It changed my father and my mother in that instant. Any arguments just ceased because there was just a presence of love. And I don't know where that come from. It was just a response of my presence to their presence. Other things that we all know, music, poetry, sculpture, paintings that just speak to our essence of what we really are without having to have any words. Again, the love that we have, that we are not separate from others. We're just being in their presence, our presence in their presence. It's a feeling beyond words. It's just wondrous. And imagine, you are here, I'm here, you are there, and if I went up to you, I would see you as a person. If I knew you, I would know something about your character, and you would maybe tell me something about your character and identity. But if I went closer and closer and closer to your face, again, that identity would change in my mind. And in fact, when I got right up close to you, I would see skin. And if I went further close, imagine I had an electronic microscope, I would be able to see the molecules of the skin. And if I went even further, I would see atoms. And if I went even further, I would basically see parts of atoms, electrons. If I went even further, what would I see? Just energy. We are just energy, energy of life. It is this that makes things different. So when we keep with our presence or shift away from our mistaken identity or not focus or take our identity too seriously, we come back to what we are, our awareness, our presence, and we get knowings from that, knowing when with our presence, that things feel right. When I met my wife, what felt right was my wife's honesty as a person. Just underneath it all the, I suppose, like we all have good and bad traits, but what shone through that was just a basic honesty. Another example, when I was doing my PhD research, I just, without having to explain it, I just could, without the words, without any, I just knew what to do. I got a feeling that I could solve a particular problem without knowing all the detail of how to do it. Something inside me, my essence just knew, yeah, I could do that. There is a knowing. And that is just in the now, it just comes to you. Now, we could kind of say, well, if you're in this kind of, with your awareness, with your presence, isn't it akin to like sitting on a cloud playing a harp and doing nothing all day? This kind of heaven on earth. Wouldn't it be boring? I think it would. When I was a young man, and I've mentioned this before, I used to listen to Eddie Cochran, a famous rock and roll singer, a rock and roll pioneer. And he had a song called Teenage Heaven. I want a house with a pool, shorter hours in school, and a room with my own private phone. I want to stay up all night and see the big city lights. No more troubles or worries at home. Just give me some time on my hands. I want to make my own private plans. Yeah, I want my own Coupe de Ville. Make my dad pay the bill. Yeah, man, that's heaven to me. And I used to think, And then I would be, I don't know, 17 years of age. I just think, oh yes, crikey, I was so busy at work doing an apprenticeship and night class. I used to think, oh God, just give me some time on my hands. Now I'm retired. I've got too much time on my hands. So there's the paradox. Be careful of what you wish for. Because I think we as humans do need contrast. We go back and forth, and what I am saying is that this is all worthwhile, because when we come away from our mistaken identity and come into our presence, which is the truth, we rest there. There is a respite there. There is a sitting in awareness of what really matters. And we don't stay there all the time. It may just last moments, but it's worth it, because when we come out of it and get back into the fray of normal life in the external world, we are more refreshed. We are more untethered. Our mind somehow changes. It does. And therefore, we can go again along with our life in a better way, a more informed way, because there is wisdom now, more wisdom behind what we're doing. But again, we come up against our conditioning and something upsets us and we get miserable or unhappy again. And that is the signal to come back into our awareness, back into our presence, to get some respite and to get that grounding back again and go back out again. So it's all a back and forth thing. We can exhibit two different worlds. So what I'm saying in this podcast is to try and shed the baggage of your identity, because that always holds us down, burns us out, and we can always go and rest in the awareness of our presence. Get some peace and quiet there instead of burning out. And I have some prose, what I have written on this, if you'll indulge me. So, you always busy yourself with happiness, but for who? A self somewhere between a clod or a genius. The choice is propping that up or realising your presence. If the latter prevails, you become refreshed and wiser, free to establish a deeper happiness, making the best choices for you. So I hope that helps. And so I'll now go into some relaxation, and just to settle ourselves, to just focus on our breathing, just breathing in to 4, breathing in 1, 2, 3, 4, breathing out 2, 3, 4, breathing in 2, 3, 4, breathing out 2, 3, 4, breathing in 2, 3, 4, breathing out 2, 3, 4. So just continue breathing normally and just relax into your chair. Relax from the top of your head. All the little muscles in your scalp just relaxed. Right down to a relaxed brow. Relaxed cheeks, down to a soft neck. Down to relaxing shoulders, all the little muscles in your upper arms relaxed, relaxed forearms, down through your chest, just relaxing tummy, so relaxed, just your hips relaxed and your bottom relaxed on the chair. Right down through your thighs, relaxed, easy, that's right. Down through your thighs, just comfortable and relaxed, taking it easy. That's right. Easy ankles, so relaxed. Little muscles in your feet and toes relaxed. Just easy and relaxed. Just knowing that we all have an identity, but clinging on to that paradigm, that happiness for that identity all the time can be very tiring. We can just let go of that and come back to our presence, which is always there, which is settled, which knows, because it's life. It knows. It knows what feels right for us because it shows us through that feeling. That's why we become enthusiastic. That's why we become inspired, because we are led by our presence. And that's a wonderful feeling. We do it for nothing. Time just passes by. Doesn't matter how long. We're just in the now. We're just with our presence. Hang out there. That's lovely. More refreshed now to go out into the fray of life. And if we choose to have been with our presence, we now go out into life better, more informed, more untethered, able to make better choices with the wisdom that we've been with, better able to get on with making the best life for who we really are. Thank you. So come back into the room. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. I hope to see you again. Take care. All my love.